Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Thank you for watching Capital City Church on YouTube. We're so excited that you're here for our series entitled At the Movies. We're talking about, for the next 5 weeks of August, we're talking about movies and giving you a brief synopsis. For this week, we're talking about a movie that is one of my favorites, titled Toy Story 3. Now, some backstory on Toy Story 3. There is a lot going on where the main character, his name is Andy, he is aging out of the age of wanting to play with toys. And he's had these toys for a really, really long time that have been with him through a lot of milestones in his life. And he's going to college and he can't bring the toys with him because he would look like a weird college kid with a bunch of toys in his box. But he decides he wants to give the toys, or he's gonna hold on to the toys in storage, right? And they somehow get lost and they end up going to this daycare where there's a bunch of people a bunch of kids that they get to play with all the time, but there's turmoil between the guy who's in charge of the daycare. It's a toy who's like kind of the head honcho, and he really doesn't want these toys to succeed. Right? And there might be people in your life, just like Lotso is the name of this bear who is like the evil bear in the story. There might be other people in your life that are trying to weigh you down and bring you down to where they're at, where they're miserable, and they want you to be miserable too. Well, that happens a lot, and there's a story in the Bible it talks a lot about this. It's the story of Joseph. Now, Joseph had 11 brothers, and all of them did not like him. Joseph was special. God had given him this gift to be able to interpret dreams. And at one point in his life, when he was young, he interpreted a dream that he had for his brothers and basically was like in front of the whole family, hey, one day there's going to come a time where you guys are going to bow down to me. And the brothers did not like that. They were not happy about that. They got really angry, and they decided that because Joseph was making them feel bad, they were going to sell him into slavery. And they sold him into slavery, and he went into slavery in Egypt. And the whole time he was in Egypt, he could have been miserable. He could have chosen to be so angry and so unexcited about what God was doing in his life. But he chose to honor God and to love God despite the circumstances in his life. And he was a very successful person. He was loved by his boss or his slave owner. But at one point, he is framed for something by the owner of his owner's wife, right? And he immediately gets sent into prison. And while he's in prison, he meets a few guys, and they talk about, this amazing ability that Joseph has to interpret dreams. And he actually interprets some dreams for some other people in the prison. And then whenever one of them gets to where they are a cook in the house of the Pharaoh, the Pharaoh asks if anybody knows how to interpret dreams. And the cook goes up to him and is like, hey, Pharaoh, your majesty, or whatever he says to him. He was like, I know a guy, he's in prison, that he can interpret your dream. And so they go get Joseph, who's in prison. They bring him to the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh tells him his dream. And Joseph tells him, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what the meaning of your dream is. You're going to go through 7 years of plentiful harvest, where you're going to have so much food, you're not even going to know what to do with it. And then after that, for 7 years after, you're going to have a famine that's going to destroy all your crops. You're not going to have any food, whatever, right? And so the Pharaoh asks Joseph, he's like, well, what should we do about that? And Joseph's like, well, you need to save food during the 7 years of bountiful harvest so that you can survive and eat off of that during the 7 years of famine. And so the Pharaoh tells Joseph, hey, I'm going to put you in charge of this. You go do what you're doing. You're in charge. You're second in command in all of Egypt. You got this. Save us from dying of starvation during the 7 years of famine. And so he does, and he gets to work, and he's working during the first 7 years, and during the second 7 years, when there is a famine, his brothers end up coming to Egypt to ask for food, and it ends up being Joseph that gives them that food and saves them from death. Now, that brings up one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. It's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Now, it may not seem like it all the time, but God has a plan for your life, right? And He's excited about what your life looks like. It may not look perfect right now. The toys, when they were in the Sunnyside daycare, which is the name of the daycare they went to, it didn't seem like everything was perfect, right? And it didn't seem like it was everything they wanted. But eventually they got back to Andy, and Andy found a better plan for their life moving forward. Just like God is excited about what the plan for your life is going to look like in the future. It may not look exactly how you want it to right now, but I promise you, He has a plan for your life. And He's excited about what you're going to do with your future. Don't let people weigh you down because they're miserable. Don't let, just like Joseph, don't let the circumstances of your life dictate how you feel. Have faith that God's going to bring you through it no matter what. And I promise you, He will.